Hey guys, it's XYDI and welcome to the first episode of Super Mario Month. Today, I'll be reviewing Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Let's get started. Mario's 3D outings are typically defined by two distinct styles of gameplay. Let's call them the exploration style and the course clear style. Now,
what's the difference?
You might ask? Well, quite a bit actually. The exploration style games feature large open levels with multiple objectives within each space, which you can tackle in any order that you see fit, or more accurately, as you stumble across them. This non-linearity was first introduced to us in the first ever 3D game in the series, Super Mario 64, and this was later expanded upon in Super Mario Sunshine and Super Mario Odyssey. The course clear style of games, however, while similar to their exploration-based counterparts, follow quite a different mantra for their level design, one which is much more akin to the 2D Mario games. You enter a level and platform your way to the end, where you're typically met by a flagpole or a superstar. Usually, there's plenty of collectibles, enemies, and secrets to discover along the way, but the end result of each level always has that linear get from point A to point B. Super Mario 3D World falls into this category, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 both fall into this camp as well, and they're fantastic. The exploration and the course clear styles both have their merits and have equally contributed to where Mario stands today as a franchise. That being said, this brings us to the most recent entry in the series, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, which draws inspiration from each of these gameplay styles and is all the better for it. As the name of the game implies, this package is split into two segments, Super Mario 3D World, which is a port of the Wii U game, and Bowser's Fury, which is a brand new open world styled experience. So, for the purposes of this video, I'll be going over the two of them separately. Starting with a game that I've already reviewed before, which you can check out in my archive playlist, let's sink our claws into... I promised myself I'd never say this again, but Super Meowio 3D World.
Super Mario 3D World! Meow.
As the latest in a long line of deluxeified Wii U ports, Super Mario 3D World will definitely feel familiar to fellow Nintendo fans, who might remember playing the game on its release all the way back in November of 2013. Almost 8 years later, this game has finally clawed its way back into the limelight and onto the Nintendo Switch, and I honestly couldn't have been more excited to replay it. A lot's changed in our world since 2013, but the same can't be said for 3D World. And that's not to say that nothing has changed, as Nintendo has gone in and made several improvements to the overall experience. They sharpened up the image quality, reworked gamepad functionality, added a fun new photo mode, and increased the speed of the entire game. This newly added pep to your step actually gives quite a decent bump to the game's pacing, and the Wii U version now looks and feels a little sluggish when comparing them. All these slight tweaks to the game make it an absolute joy to revisit, and help to tighten up the already outstanding moveset. Speaking of movesets, part of the appeal of this game is bringing back one of the best features from Super Mario Bros. 2, the Doki Doki Panic version, not Lost Levels, which is the ability to play as a number of familiar faces, including Mario, Luigi, Toad, and Princess Peach. Plus, in addition, you can also unlock Rosalina by clearing one of the post-game levels. Each of these characters brings a different feel to the gameplay. Luigi has his signature high jump, Peach can float in the air for a bit, Rosalina has the spin attack from the Galaxy games, and Toad is fast. I mean, like, really fast. Using him in conjunction with the aforementioned speed boost kinda reminds me of someone else who's really blue and really fast. Having all of these characters available to play as is a fun enough feature on its own, but the real magic comes in with the multiplayer. This game marks the first true co-op gameplay in a 3D Mario game, other than having my little brother pick up leftover star bits.
I don't want to do this anymore.
As anyone who's played a new Super Mario Bros. Game can tell you, the multiplayer is a fun yet chaotic addition to the Mario formula, and a welcome one. Playing the game with family and friends adds so much to the experience. Whether you're competing for high scores, working as a team, or purposely messing with each other, you're sure to have a blast. Unfortunately, due to the current state of the world, it's a little bit more difficult than usual to get together and play the game locally. But you might not be out of luck, as this is the first mainline Mario game to include online multiplayer. This brings with it some good news and some bad news. The good news being that now you and your friends can jump on Goombas together wherever you are in the world. The bad news being that sometimes it just doesn't work as well as it should. I recently moved down to Florida, current home of the Super Bowl champs, and the stupid Bowl champs, and trying to play with my friends back home in New York left a little bit to be desired. Frame drops, lag, and spots of unresponsiveness dampened an otherwise incredible multiplayer offering. That's not to say that the majority of playtime is like this, because when it does work, it works really well, and it's the next best thing to sitting on the couch with someone, which is more than I can say about a lot of online games if I'm being totally honest. Plus, it works well enough that people are able to do let's plays and even speedruns over the internet. But if you're not a multiplayer person, don't worry, because playing the game solo is just as good as it ever was. The game still looks fantastic, and whether you're playing in docked or portable mode, you get a silky smooth 60 frames a second. And as a quick little sidebar, since we're talking about how good this game looks and runs, I also need to mention how good this game sounds. 3D World has one of the best soundtracks, not just in the Mario series, but in all of gaming. The songs are catchy as all hell, and I find myself humming them all the time. On that note, let's get into the real meat of this game. Over 80 courses full of that good. Timeless level design, tons of variety in worlds, and a whole bunch of fun and interesting new ideas. One of the noteworthy new additions to the game is the cat suit power-up, which allows you to lunge, scratch, and climb your way through the levels, and also look adorable while doing it. Speaking of adorable, I especially love these new amiibo that they made of Mario and Peach. Also worth mentioning is the double cherry, and while it's only used in a handful of levels, there's nothing quite like controlling 5 Marios all at the same time.
Amateurs, that's just a Tuesday night.
There's also your classic power-ups like the Fire Flower, Super Leaf, Boomerang Flower, and even the return of the Mega Mushroom, which allows you to grow to an absolutely ridiculous size and demolish everything in your path. Guess which one is my little brother's favorite? Now, of course, all of these power-ups wouldn't mean much without somewhere to use them, and luckily this game has some of the tightest level design in the entire series. Since 3D World draws so heavily from the 2D Mario games, it's admittedly much smaller in scale than most of its 3D brethren. But this game manages to make the most of its limited scope, and every level feels both completely unique and also satisfyingly familiar. The levels are concise enough to make sure that returning visits don't feel like a drag, and yet long enough to fully flesh out each new idea they throw at you. And there's a never-ending stream of new ideas. Platforms that change when you jump, invisible paths, Goombas that look like kittens, and so much more. Perhaps my favorite addition to the game has to be Plessie. She may be a Loch Ness, but she ain't no monster. Several levels in the game allow you to take a ride on her back to help you slide your way to the flagpole. She's perfect. In addition to your run-of-the-mill platforming, this game also introduces a few new types of levels, including the debut of Captain Toad as a playable character. In these Captain Toad settings, the game gives you full control of the camera as the level takes on a toy box feel and removes your ability to jump, instead allowing you to take things slow and solve timing or movement-based puzzles. This style of gameplay was eventually expanded upon in the excellent Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, which is also available on Switch, and Wii U, and 3DS. The second new type of level is the Mystery Houses, where you face several rooms of quick 10-second challenges ranging from defeating enemies, throwing baseballs, and trying to grab green stars before the time runs out. These levels help break up the typical platforming action and can be pretty fun and quite the challenge. And while I'm on the subject of challenge, another great thing about this game is the difficulty curve. While beating the first 8 worlds only takes a couple of hours and doesn't get too tough until the very end, once you finally defeat Meowser and save the Sprixies, that's when the challenge really ramps up in the bonus worlds. I've been playing Mario as long as I can remember, and there were still quite a few levels that made me break out in a sweat or straight up want to toss my Switch into the East River, from Florida. But luckily, with a little persistence, even these few challenging spots can be a blast to get through, and will make you feel like an absolute master upon completion. Speaking of completion, while I'm no Gerard the Completionist, my OCD demanded that I still had to collect everything in the game. If you keep your eyes peeled for secrets and are diligent about grabbing your green stars and stamps, you can manage to do it in just about 10 to 12 hours, which isn't too bad. And what exactly do you get for 100%ing the game? A special, tough-as-nails level known as Champions Road. And also tons of stamps, like enough to get Mario and friends free postage for a year. And unlike your grandpa's stamp collection, these are actually quite enjoyable to collect and ultimately use in the game's brand new photo mode. You can pan the camera, add filters, and take fun snapshots of your adventure. All in all, if you've never played Super Mario 3D World before, then this is the perfect opportunity to jump in. All the enhancements make an already great game even better. And if you've already platformed your way across the Sprixie Kingdom, I assure you that your second go will be just as enjoyable as your first. The game holds up extremely well, and the multiplayer aspects make this a fun and unique entry in the Mario series, and certainly one that I won't be putting down anytime soon. And now with 3D World out of the way, that leads us into the second part of this review, and what I think is the real special sauce of this package. Bowser's Furry.
I mean, Bowser's Fury. Sorry, I think these ears are starting to get to me. Matter of fact...
Oh, come on. You gotta be kidding me.
Let's just keep going.
Bowser's Fury is interesting, to say the least. Remember earlier in the video when I explained the differences between the exploration and course clear style of games? Well, this brand new game within a game takes that sweet gameplay of 3D World and combines it with the open-ended nature of the exploration-based games. Instead of being broken up into levels, you're instead dropped into a huge, ever-expanding archipelago to explore. Each island is chock full of platforming challenges, secrets, and litters upon litters of these adorable kittens. Aww. And they added cat ears to practically every enemy type, even the seagulls. The story this time is that Bowser has been corrupted by an evil force, and Mario must help Bowser Jr. restore his father's sanity. Bowser Jr. will accompany Mario on the entire journey and will help you along the way by defeating enemies, grabbing power-ups, or by painting special murals to help you get items. By the time all is said and done, it's about 3 to 4 times the size of the biggest world in Mario Odyssey, and I have to say that this open world style does absolute wonders for this mode. And while you'll be doing the majority of your exploration on foot, you're also able to ride Plessy between islands, which is a pretty fun way to get around. And after completing your third battle with Bowser, you'll also be able to warp from island to island. Speaking of Bowser, this game makes him bigger and badder than he's ever been before. Every 10 minutes or so, the rain comes in and his theme music starts playing. The whole world comes to a standstill as he rises out of the water, and once he arrives, he brings with him new platforms, giant spikes, and tons of deadly fireballs. The only way to get him to leave is by grabbing one of the new cat shines, or by making your way over to the Giga Bell power-up, which will transform Mario into a giant Super Saiyan kitten, and the entire world becomes a battlefield for you and Godzilla Bowser. These new battles with Bowser bring a sense of scale that has never quite been felt in any of the Mario games prior. The art direction and theming of Bowser's Fury are some of its strongest assets, and I think it's up there with Sunshine and Galaxy in that regard. The whole thing feels like a what-if scenario that grew out of hand and somehow made its way into the game. The only negative thing that I can say about Bowser's Fury is that it's too short. I found all 100 cat shines in the better part of an afternoon, and I was pretty bummed out when I realized I 100%ed it. But let me be clear in saying that the length honestly doesn't matter, because being as short as it is, it still left a hell of an impression on me, and I hope that future Mario games follow in its footsteps. Overall, this package of 3D World plus Bowser's Fury takes an already amazing game and combines it with an interesting new take on Mario. I loved every second of it, and I continue to come back and goof off with my friends online, help my siblings beat some of the harder levels, and honestly sometimes, just listen to the title screen music. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury is a fantastic game, and one that you definitely shouldn't skip over if you own a Switch. Alright, that was my review of Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Thank you for watching the first ever episode of Super Mario Month. I'll be back next week with a review of New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. It's a mouthful. New soup. I'll be back with new soup. Let me know if you enjoyed this video down in the comments, and don't forget to go smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for more content, and ring that bell so that you always know when I post a new video. And with all that being said, thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!